Remember when Nissan was a pioneer for EVs with the original Leaf? And then now we have the Aria, but it's not really that competitive in today's oversaturated EV market. What's going on right now is they're essentially pulling the plug on EVs. They keep pushing it back. This is the third time they've pushed back EV launches here in the United States. Heading on over to automotive news, Nissan pauses, reshapes their plans for building EVs here in the United States. Well, the Leaf is built here for now. It will be discontinued. And then I believe Leaf production will go to UK. But will we see a Leaf in the future? Who knows? The Aria is made in Japan, does not qualify for the EV tax credit unless you lease it. They will expand the number of EVs produced at its Mississippi factory. So we knew of 4. We knew of a Nissan sedan and an Infiniti sedan. We knew of a Nissan crossover and an Infiniti crossover. This 5th one, codenamed PZ1L, is expected to be a compact crossover. To me, that sounds perfect, like a perfect vehicle for the new Leaf. So maybe they will start building the new Leaf here after all, unless they want to call it something else like Rogue EV. I don't know. Let's read into this. So they're putting this $500 million investment on hold at the underutilized Canton, Mississippi plant. They make big Ultimate Energy there. They make the Frontier there as well. The Titan, rest in peace, essentially, right, as it's ending production sometime this summer. So Nissan has told suppliers that it has adjusted the development schedule of a pair of battery-powered sedans to enhance product competitiveness. Well, I think, yes, should you delay your product if it's not as good or better than the competition? That's what they're figuring out with the Leaf right now. Yes, you should probably delay it instead of having a lukewarm product on the market. They told the suppliers to stop all development activities related to the electric sedans until further notice. Okay, so keep this in mind. They're telling their suppliers to be like, hey, remember we said we were going to make EVs by 2025 or 2026 or 2027, right? It keeps getting postponed. Check this out. Nissan's relationship with their suppliers is on the way up. Especially, we had a big jump from 2023 to 2024. They're the dark green here. So they had a big jump. But after this, I wouldn't be surprised if the relationship with their suppliers starts to go back down. We've hit maybe peak Nissan post Carlos Ghosn relationship with the suppliers. And what's crazy to me, in 2014, look how close all the manufacturers were with their suppliers. Honda and Toyota have stayed at the top. Ford has flatlined actually in recent years. They've gone down. Stellantis has gone down quite a bit as well. And maybe we'll finish up this video today talking about Stellantis right now. It's quite crazy what they're doing. But we'll get back onto the article here. Nissan planned to begin producing sedans, these EV sedans, in June 2026. The schedule has been delayed twice. The most recent start date pushed to November that year. Again, this is the third rescheduling. Actually, it's not even a rescheduling. It's just put on hold because they don't know what to do in the EV market. It changes so fast, and EVs, it's not like you can make a quick buck on them. You have to be in it for the long haul. Even Tesla's struggling right now. Luckily for the suppliers, they're going to get an update mid-June, but that update could just mean, hey, we're going to push it back for a couple more years or whatever it's going to be. I think it's going to be at least 6 or 8 more months before Nissan returns with a new plan, said one of the suppliers. Okay, this is what gets my goat. Nissan American's chairperson, Jeremy Papin, told Automotive News last week that Nissan is being pragmatic and reactive to consumer interest in electric vehicles. What matters is making sure that we launch the vehicles that the customer wants at the time the customer wants it. Well, I'm sorry to say it, Jeremy. The customers have been asking for your hybrids for years, your e-Power hybrids, and we're not getting them for another couple of years still. Even though they're available, get this, they're available in many other markets: Japan, Asia, Europe, China, even Latin America, United States, Canada. What's e-Power? Most of you guys don't know. I've never even driven a vehicle with e-power. So it is like a forbidden fruit, while the hybrid market is just going bonkers right now here in the United States, and Nissan's over here twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out EVs. People don't want EVs, at least of right now. If they were being smart, they would find some way, somehow, to get something like the Nissan Note Aura e-power into the United States. Like, start figuring something out, Nissan. We're not going to be waiting around for your hybrids. We'll just go buy another hybrid. Look, the Honda Civic just came out with a really exciting hybrid powertrain, and it's arriving to dealers this summer. And I just drove the Prius Prime this past week. I'm driving the Corolla Hybrid this week. So why can't the Altima get e-power, or the Sentra get e-power? I know there's e-power Sentras in other markets. Anyways, haven't even got into their crossovers and the lack of e-power in their crossovers stateside. But they are not listening to the consumers at this point in time. They're just listening to the overall market saying, okay, the EVs are cooling off. Nissan, figure it out. In the memo, Nissan revealed it will expand the number of battery-powered models made in Canton, adding a fifth vehicle. This is that PZ1L, expected to be a compact crossover. Maybe it's the Leaf, all right, like I said earlier. Meanwhile, Nissan will switch its EV production sequence, beginning with the crossovers instead of sedans. They were going to launch with the sedans. That was the plan the whole time. Now they're going to be flip-flopping. Well, why? Well, they're just going to extend the Altima's life cycle without probably any updates, because that's pretty cost effective, and sedans don't sell as well as crossovers. So they're like, okay, well, maybe if we have an EV crossover, that's what people will want instead of the sedans first. And it's possible that their EV sedans just aren't competitive with the market, and maybe their crossovers are a little bit more competitive. I really like the Aria. Don't get me wrong. It's not a perfect EV by any means. It's just expensive, but if you can lease it for $300 a month, it's a good lease. And we're going to finish up with Stellantis right now. If you can't beat them, join them. That's their philosophy with Chinese cars coming from China, coming to Europe, coming to North America. They would rather make vehicles, joint venture, Chinese vehicles in China, and export them than worry about at-home production of EVs. So we're going to get into this. Tavares, their CEO, he gets paid like, I don't know, what's his salary now? He just got a salary bump. Yeah, it's about $40 million at this point. And the joke is, and it sucks for a lot of the workers out there, the joke is like, okay, with their new UAW contract, they're paying workers too much, so they're laying off workers. Meanwhile, Tavares is raking in about $40 million a year, and they can't afford to keep their employees here in the United States. Their relationship with their suppliers hit rock bottom in 2022. They're still at the bottom of the roundup here. They're the runt of the litter when it comes to supplier relations. Now, if you're wondering who the hell Stellantis is, if you're still not familiar, they're the parent company of Dodge. I guess you could say they're Fiat Chrysler, Dodge, or FCA of America, merged with a bunch of additional European brands and even Chinese brands at this point to cut costs. Tavares is saying the tariffs on Chinese vehicles, which, by the way, will be in force here in the United States, 100% tariff on Chinese EVs on August 1st, 2024. So that's when the tariffs start here in the United States, or should I say, that's when the tariffs quadruple compared to where they are right now for Chinese vehicles. He's calling these tariffs a major trap for the countries that go on that path. And this will not allow Western automakers to avoid restructuring to meet the challenge from lower cost Chinese manufacturers. The EU is trying to figure out what to do with these Chinese imports too, as they've taken up about 10% of the European market at this point. And we will see counter tariffs at some point in time as well. Tavares says when you fight against the competition to absorb 30% of cost competitiveness edge in favor of Chinese EVs, there are social consequences. He's saying the governments of Europe don't want to face that reality right now. He's saying that tariffs would only fuel inflation in the regions where they are imposed, potentially impacting sales and production. Do you agree with that? I see his rationale. I don't know if it makes sense or not. Stellantis last week announced it would start selling EVs of its Leap Motor Chinese partner outside of China during this year, starting in Europe in September. This is the first joint venture between a Western car maker and a Chinese car maker designed to sell and produce EVs from a Chinese manufacturer outside of China. So the whole point of this joint venture with Leapmotor is to create super cheap EVs and send them to Europe, to send them to Latin America, to send them to anyone that is going to take them. And here's the kicker. We will try to be Chinese ourselves, not beat, to become. We will try to become Chinese ourselves, which means instead of being purely defensive vis-a-vis the Chinese offensive, we want to be part of the Chinese offensive. If you can't beat them, join them. That's Tavares here. Is he dealing with the devil? Or is he being the savior of Stellantis joining up with Chinese EVs, and it's the only way to survive in the future with the economy the way it is headed? Interesting times always in the automotive industry. No one knows what to do with EVs here in the United States, but Tavares at Stellantis is saying, hey, just build them in China and send them everywhere else. I'll catch you guys down below. Have a great day and peace.